From our last video, we're going to have a look at the MFA registration process that's built into Azure AD Identity Protection. This is a Azure AD Premium 2 license feature, and this allows registration without enforcing MFA. So let's have a look first at the wizard, MFA registration. I assigned at the moment to all users. I'm just going to change that so it's only assigned to the users that I want to test it with. And for my particular case, I've got a couple of users, Irvin, Isaiah, and Johanna, that one. So I turn it on just for the users I want to do it for. So I'm going to pilot it effectively with these users. So I've picked my users to pilot. I can pick a group, for example, and the control, right, I'm going to require MFA registration. So I'm going to select that. I need to go into that once to enable that. The policy is not enabled. So I'm going to turn the policy on. I'm going to click Save. And my policy has been successfully saved. Let's log in as Irvin, and let's see the impact of having turned on Azure AD Identity Protection MFA registration for this user. So let's sign in as Irvin. Let's enter his password. And I get my organization needs more information, but I can skip this. So this is new. In all my previous videos, we've not been able to skip. If I click next, I carry on as I've done in my previous videos. But because I've got the option to register, I've now got the ability to skip this. So let's skip this for Irvin, and we see we're logged straight in. Okay, if it's not suitable for the user to do their registration at this point, they don't have to do their registration at this point. Let's close that and come back in as that user and go through the process. So here we are back at the Office sign-in page. We're going to sign in as my user, Irvin. This time, again, I'm going to get the 14-day deferral. I'm not going to choose to do the deferral this time. This time, I'm going to just click next. So I could skip, and in 14 days' time, I won't be able to skip it. But today, I'm not going to skip it. Okay? And we'll see that I get the old registration wizard. Okay? So I have all the nice new features, but the old registration wizard. I'm not going to complete that. We know what happens next. The big thing I want to show you when I've got identity protection enabled is the ability to defer the registration and to do just registration. This user, Irvin, is not set up for MFA anywhere. I didn't set them up in Office 365 for MFA. I didn't set them up in conditional access for MFA. Okay? If I was to take a user that wasn't set up for identity protection and not set up for MFA 365 and not set up for SSPR and not set up for conditional access, they would never have to register. The P2 feature allows registration even though I don't require MFA from you where you currently are or require MFA from you generally at all. So back in the admin page, remember that we've got our users. Let's have a look. Isaiah. Isaiah is one of our users set up for MFA registration. So I go back to Azure Active Directory, go into Groups, and I'm going to add Isaiah to my new MFA registration process. That's done there. And I'm also going to add them to the self-service password reset registration process as well. My general recommendation on doing this is that you do the new registration on SSPR as a single project. And so you don't have two groups, one for SSPR and one for MFA registration, but you have a single group that does both. So rather than having to add the user to both the SSPR pilot and the MFA registration wizard, enhanced registration wizard process, you can add them to both at the same time. So let's go and see what that does for our user, Isaiah. So new in private browsing session, so it's not going to remember any of my previous users. Enter Isaiah's username, enter Isaiah's password, and it says, right, I can skip this because this user is part of identity protection. So I click next. I'm going to do registration for this user at this time. They're set up as the new sign-in, And so I go through the process, app and phone. Okay? So let's do the app next. And we've done this in previous videos, so I'm just going to pause while I complete these steps. So scanned, next. Approval approved, notification completed, and then we move on to the phone number. I enter my details, I click next, and I wait for the code to turn up. Code arrived very shortly afterwards, enter the code, click next, SMS successfully verified, and we're done. I've done the authenticator and I've done the phone. Notice it hasn't asked me to do security questions, which is also an SSPR registration method. There's enough here, having turned on authenticator and phone as options in SSPR. It'll only ask me to do two things. If I want to add security questions as another method of password reset, I can come back into this wizard, aka.ms/MFA setup, and add them, but I don't need to. And so there we see I've done a sign in for a user where I could have deferred the sign in for 14 days. I didn't have to, but I could have done because I have identity protection at P2 license.